Hello and welcome to the Grow Up Podcast. My name is Kennedy Garfield and I am a 20-year-old dreamer who is obsessed with leveling up their life. If you are looking to build your confidence, navigate career moves, or find balance in your relationships, then you have come to the right place. My goal in this podcast is to allow inspiration and knowledge to easily seep into that beautiful brain of yours. Think of this podcast as your weekly dose of growing a little stronger. Leave it to me to provide relatable advice, share personal stories, and interview badass women who are killing it in their own unique way. I know you're about to have such a great time with me, so thank you for pushing play today, and now let's grow up together. What is your definition of self-love and how do you give that to yourself?
Probably the biggest thing that I can say is like not policing your own feelings. Like it's like okay if you feel a certain way and it like doesn't make sense like to other people. It doesn't always have to make sense. Like stop beating yourself up for having feelings. Like is what I would say to myself. Because I spent a long time like sitting there and it makes you feel worse, you know what I mean, to like be mad at yourself for feeling a certain way when you could just like accept it, go through that emotion and move on. And to me, that's self-love because you're caring for yourself, you're giving yourself grace, you're treating yourself like a best friend, which I think is huge. And it's definitely something that like I'm working on as like every day,
Yo, that's why I freaking love you.
I love you.
That was sick. And I've never heard someone say it like that, and it makes sense. Like,
oh my gosh.
You saying like that some of the things that you're going to feel is not going to make sense for others. And I feel like I was describing that with like something that we talked earlier about like friends and stuff like that. It's like me trying to explain how I feel. It's like, okay, not everyone's gonna, like totally understand that. Not everyone.
Like no one would be mad about this except for me. Like, yeah,
literally.
doesn't make sense.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah. It's valid.
It's okay. One that experienced that raw. So how would I expect someone that didn't experience that raw, like, understand that?
No. Well, and it's also like, it's not for everybody to understand too. That's one thing that it's like, you know what? Like, I think we're kind of in a part of life or like in society in general where we share too much. And it's like, like it's good to talk about your feelings. And that's not what I'm saying at all. Like, I genuinely think like you should talk about it, but it's also like, it really, it's yours. Like it's not anybody else's to understand. You know what I mean? Like, no. It's at the end of the day, like whose feelings matter. Like, like
only yourself, because that is a form of self-love, which I freaking love that you brought that up.
I feel that. I feel like self-love, that's one of those like topics. I have like my own opinions on like, I think we like think that we have to, do everything like speak to ourselves so nicely all the time, like to be self-love. But I think sometimes we need discipline, and I think that's also self-love. So it's like, and there's a fine balance between like giving yourself grace and also like knowing when you need growth and when to accept like what is going on. You know what I mean?
I freaking love that. That's sick. And something that I want to share along those lines too, of like, I was having such a hard time of when to know when to give myself grace and when to know kind of push through with discipline. And heaven above that women are on a 28-day cycle, and I was like trying to push through like after like when I'm on my period or after my ovulation. Yeah. And I'm like, I have to be tough. And it's like, girl,
I could talk about
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, literally.
It's crazy. Like me trying to give myself tough love when my body's literally like, please just give me some sort of rest.
Give me some nourishment. Yeah. You deserve to eat a little bit more food when you're like going through that. Your body's literally enduring some like process that takes energy from you, and you're like depriving yourself of what you need.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, maybe at another point in the month you can push a little bit harder, if that's what's right for you. But ultimately, like how you feel, how your body feels. Like, I don't know.
It's so true. And it was like such a light bulb switch of me of like, now I know when to kind of give myself that grace and when to give myself that discipline of like, okay, I need to be like, I don't know, it just like the cycle thing like was such put into perspective. And I think that went along with it too. But anyways, Love.
Love
And I
it.
love that you're
Love
there.
it so much. Anyway, I resonate so much with what you're saying.
Cool. Thank you. Question number 2. How do you show up as your authentic self?
Okay, I love this question so much. Okay, and I'll tell you why. I think for most like of my life, like honestly, like when I was a teenager, I did have, okay, well, I'll preface this, with all of us, like, we have these beliefs about ourselves that like we, use like evidence from our lives to reaffirm, like we might think like hold a certain belief about ourselves and then other people reaffirm that by how they treat us or how they talk to us, and that kind of thing. And one of my biggest ones, and I've gone to work, I've literally like I've been trying to hone in on these, and it's a cool process. Like I essentially have a list of like I ams, and they're like my affirmations that are personal to me and are based on like what negative and like self-limiting thoughts that like I've had in my life. And like some of them are like very fleeting, you know what I mean? Like they're not coming around that much. But probably the biggest one that I've had, honestly, like I have felt awkward for like years. And I remember being told that I was awkward by, like a friend that I had in middle school, in which we were all awkward, let's be freaking honest. Like yeah, we were all there. But it's crazy how like I kind of molded that into a part of my identity. And it's like, even if it wasn't, necessarily true, you know what I mean? Like I, in my mind, thought that. And so one of the hardest things for me to break was that first circuit that my brain would go through. Anytime something like, would happen, I would like take credit for it. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's because it's it's me. You know what I mean? And that's not good, right? So when I like went to work, trying to demolish these, part of the process is like you say like I forgive myself for viewing myself as blank.
Cool.
And so and the second I said that, like I swear, like it's so silly. It was like an emotional release, honestly. Like
I believe that.
and
100%.
it was crazy. And the one that I replaced it with, so you kind of go through that process and then you replace that belief with a new belief, and you reaffirm that every time that you're coming up with that short circuit, you're wiring to that thing, you come up with this new belief. And mine, and this is one that I like am always correcting because it was so ingrained in me for a long time, is I am my best, most authentic self around everyone. So that was my change. And so when you said that, I was like, yes, like it's reminding myself like that I am my best, most authentic self around everybody. Like,
Sick.
you know what I mean?
No,
Anyway,
I love that.
long-winded.
Do that.
It's one of the coolest things that you can do. Like your life can change, like honestly, like in a week. Like
Yeah. Well, and it's really like, I mean, the work is not like, I mean, figuring out the IMs and everything. It's like not essentially like that hard. Now, is it hard to like rewire your brain in that? And that takes time, 100%. But
that's
like technically, like that isn't like a hard task to do. But for you, like you're saying that it is changed, like 100%. And I think that's freaking awesome. Like literally writing that down. I'm gonna like that's like my to-do. Like I'm gonna totally put that in process. I want to add to that too is for me, I really struggle with believing myself. So IAMs are actually like, I mean, they're effective, but I wouldn't say as effective than maybe someone giving me a compliment, and then I believe them over me.
And then you can take that as like evidence for it. And that's the hard part, I would say.
Yeah.
It's like needing that, evidence. And when you don't have it, trying to like get rid of those beliefs. And then the second that something happens, you're back.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're saying? Like,
yeah. No, 100%. And so I think that's just like the exercise that I need is like something to switch it with and like having that full I am. Cause I feel like I only did the half of like, oh, I am strong. And then I'd be like, okay, I did my I ams.
That's most of us. And like, honestly, the person that taught me this, they like to say it's like putting like frosting on a bunch of like dog crap, which is so funny, but it's true because, and that's what like they view affirmations as, because if you don't do the inner work, if you don't clear out that garbage, like the dog crap, you're just putting some sparkly, nice thing over top of it, but it's still there. Like ultimately it's there. And so like, and that's why I think like for me, like affirmations never worked like 90% of the time. And like I think I was kidding myself. And if you love affirmations, I think do what works for you. Like literally do what works for you. But for me, I had to clear that out. I had to let myself grieve that and also know that it's like it's crazy because it's like you can't be a victim in that.
Yeah.
And it's like, because like, yeah, maybe those things had been said to me, like, and those were hurtful and that shouldn't have been said, right? That should have been like kept, and I could be mad about that, right? And I could be like, oh my gosh, like I've gone my whole life thinking this, you know what I mean? Because someone told me that. So I get to feel sorry and bad about myself and hold this belief, you know what I mean? And it's like, I had to forgive myself because I was the one that chose, like, ultimately to take that belief into my belief system and run with it. Like, I was the one who, like, took control. Like, I have myself to blame for a lot of it. Like, that first one, yeah, I gotta forgive that person. But, like, 90% of that is me, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel a woman. You are a woman. That's
yeah.
so cool. Like, I feel like I've seen a lot of you and we've talked a lot, but I've never like seen that side of you. And that was cool.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
you're intelligent. That was awesome.
I love you.
Love that.
I literally, you're my favorite person.
That was cool. Okay. Next question. I mean, you just got like a new little job, so she's freaking killing it. She's amazing. What is it like being a woman in the business / entrepreneurial world?
Yeah. I think that's a good question. I think it's individual. Like I think, it really depends on like, what you do and like who you work with and that kind of thing. I think a lot of what I do is like sales related. And that's like a new thing for me for the most part. Like I haven't been used to doing sales. But one thing that's been cool about it for me is knowing like that women have like unique assets. I mean, everyone has like unique assets to add to any situation, but like as far as sales goes, like to make it kind of about my industry, I think it's been cool to like notice how like women can be naturally good sellers. And it's because I think like I'm speaking in generalizations here, but like I think we're like very aware of other people and their needs innately. And if you think about it, that's what sales is. It's understanding like what someone is telling you, what they actually really need. Like they may say that they need something, but like what can you offer that fulfills that need? And so it's like it's been cool for me because it's like, yeah, it's a different approach. And like I may be a little bit more bubbly and talkative than my male coworkers. And I've gotten that, I've gotten that from people. But I can still be really effective. You know what I mean? Like I can still absolutely kill it, like if I want to, because I can. And it's like it's different and it's not gonna look the same for everybody. But for me, it's been such an asset, like to know that, yeah, you might be underestimated, but you can you're being underestimated. So people don't know your next move. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's cool. And I love that you're like a saleswoman now because
I'm a saleswoman.
That and because you are and you're like badass at it. And I think that's
I love you.
and that actually makes me so excited too. Like, and I love what you said about women are a little bit more intuitive with like emotional pain points and then how to fulfill that and then in the end get a sale. So I think that is super cool. And I think it's true too. I think something that I've like tried to do now is like read more women's sales education rather than like general stuff because it's like yeah, I am a woman, I'm niching down, I do sales, like why wouldn't I want to learn from that route? So I love that you bring
no, literally, like at the end of the day, like it is going to be a different process.
Yeah.
And like I've learned so much. Like I wish I could reference somebody, but I can't. But I've learned like the way you hold yourself is massive. And like, especially for women, like if I'm going into like something, you know, that I want to do really good at and excel at, like business wise, like I've got to have open body language, take up space. You know what I mean? Like I think we're taught that we shouldn't take up space and like try to make ourselves smaller all the time. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, like be big.
Next question. Tell me about a time when you truly felt seen as a woman.
Kind of relates to just like feeling seen by yourself. I think it's just about knowing who you are and like how your womanhood is a part of that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I love that you say being seen by yourself, because like inevitably you're like, oh, how can I be seen as a woman? And it's like, oh, when have other people seen me? But it's like, no, I think the most genuine and authentic like being seen as a woman is when you see it for yourself. Last question. How do you express your power as a woman?
Power. I love that. I think in general, like how I express my power, I think when I speak up, I think when I say what I'm thinking, when I don't try to minimize my opinions, you know what I mean? Like when I just like can be straight up. I feel powerful when I stand up for myself and others. I feel powerful when I'm living with integrity. When I like do what I say I'll do, when I, you know, come to things with consistency. To me, that's like so powerful just within yourself. Like every time you do something for yourself, you keep a commitment with yourself. I think you grow in like powerfulness like every single time. I don't know if that's dramatic to say, but like I every time you keep a commitment to yourself, I swear it's like magic. I don't know, like making your bed.
No,
That kind of thing.
I love it. I definitely think there's power in like saying I'm gonna do something and then actually fulfilling it. And it's like I think I've heard that it's like also like a brain thing too. Like it reassures your brain of like, oh, she's going through things that she's saying she's doing. And so it's like a reactive thing. So no, I love that. I think there's
Well,
cool
and you're the only one like who's holding you accountable for a lot of those things. So it's like it means the most like when you can, you know, keep that with yourself, keep your promise to yourself because you can show up better for other people and in your life. It just makes more sense.
Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode. If you loved what you heard today, be sure to share with me by leaving a review on iTunes so that I can keep the beautiful stuff coming your way. If you aren't already following me on social media, come soak up the extra inspiration and knowledge on my Instagram by following @Kennedy_Garfield. I love you so much and can't wait to connect with you on the next episode. In the meantime, go out there and grow up.